Assalamu alaikum students, welcome back to the channel Mathematics by Arif Panjwani. So we have to continue with the chapter numbers. So today's subtopic is power and roots, lecture number 5. So starting with the power, what is power? Power of a number is when the number is multiplied by itself. So very important, number is multiplied by itself repeatedly. This is known as power. So what does it mean? For example, we have 5 raised to the power 1. The answer is 5 because number is multiplied by itself repeatedly. How many times we have to repeat? It depends on the power, or we can say index or exponent. So what are index exponent? I will explain you. Now 5 raised to the power 2 is known as square of 5. So 5 raised to the power 2, so we have to multiply 5 multiply by 5. And 5 raised to the power cube, or we can say 5 raised to the power 3. This means 5 multiply by 5 multiply by 5, 3 times. Therefore, the power of 5 are 5, 25. The 5 raised to the power 2 is 25, and 5 raised to the power cube is 125. The big number on the bottom is sometimes called base. So if I write like this, 5 raised to the power 3, the big number is known as base, and the small number is known as index or exponent. Remember that. The big number is known as base and the small number is known as index or exponent. Any non-zero number to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Remember that when we have a power, or we can say index or exponent in 0 of any number, it should be equal to 1. Always remember that, the very important point. Sometimes most of the questions come from this 5 raised to the power 0, 3 raised to the power 0. Any number have a power 0 is equal to 1, or any variable as well. A raised to the power 0 is also equal to 1. Remember that any variable or any number have a power we can call index or exponent is equal to 0, then the answer will be 1. So that's what is power. Now, I hope everything is clear. If you have any confusion, you can ask me in a comment. Now, roots. Roots of a number are opposite of power. A square root of 25 is a number that when squared equal. So square root is the opposite of power. Square root, we can, this is known as square root. In mathematics we call radical as well. The sign we can call radical. Okay, but is known as square root. Square root 25 is a number that when square equal 25. So when we write 25, the answer of root 25 is 5, because 25 is the square of 5 raised to the power 2 is equal to 25. So we can write like this as well. I can write 25 like this as well, because we know that in the previous slide we have done what is power. So we know 5 raised to the power 2 is equal to 25. So always remember that roots of a number are opposite. Power and roots both are opposite to each other. So they will cancel out each other. The answer will be 5. If there is any number that is a square of any number in the root, for example, number is 36. 36 is a square of 6. I can write like this as well, 6 raised to the power 2. So square and root always cancel out and the answer will be 6. Okay. So it's very important to all of you to know the square of first 15 number. The square of 1 is 1, the square of 2 is 4, the square of 3 is 9, the square of 4 is 16. So I hope you know the squares of all the numbers and the cube as well. That's very important as well. The two square root are 5 and minus 5. We can write the answer 5 and minus 5 because when we take out the value from the square root, we have to write the value as positive 5 and negative 5. Okay, remember that. When you take out the value from the square root, we have to write the value one time positive, one time negative. Okay. The notation refer to the positive square root of number root 5. Oh, we already done this one. You can show both root at once using the plus or minus sign. We can write like this as well. Root 25 is equal to plus minus 5, because I told you that the 25 is the square of 5. When we cancel out the square, so we will get two answers. One is positive and one is negative. The positive square root can be written as index as well. So we can write like this as well. Root 25 is equal to 5. So I can write like this as well, because this is a square root. I can write 1 upon 2 is equal to 5 as well. So this is known as square root. Now, it's a very important. This is known as square root. Now we have cube root as well. How we can identify which is square root and which is cube root. When there is no number there, so we can say that it's a square root. When there is a number, for example, 3, so we can say that it's a cube root. Remember that you can say it's an index. This is known as index. When there is an index in a root, so this means that is not a square root. When there is no index in the root, this is known as square root. And when we, for example, root 25, so I can write like this as well. 25 raised to the power 1 upon 2. Okay. For cube root, for example, I have a value 125. 125 is the cube root of 5. I can write like this as well. 125 raised to the power 1 upon 3. And I know that 125 is the cube of 5. 5 raised to the power cube. 1 upon cube. 3 will cancel out. The answer will be 5. So remember that. Okay. I hope everything is clear in roots. If you have any question, you can ask me. Now moving towards the last topic of the pre-class, reciprocal. Reciprocal number is the number that you multiplied by to get 1. So how we can get the reciprocal of any number? The reciprocal of 2 is 1 upon 2. So the reciprocal of 2 is 1 upon 2. How we get 1 upon 2? The 2 is in the numerator. In denominator, there is no number. So we have 1. Okay. So we have to reciprocal the value. So it will become 1 upon 2. Okay. The reciprocal of 0.24, or we can say 1 upon 4. So we have to reciprocal the value. It will become 4 upon 1. So we don't need to write the 1 in denominator. So answer will be 4. You don't need to write the 1 in the denominator. I am just explaining, that's why I'm written the 1 in the denominator. Now the reciprocal of 2 upon 3 will be 3 upon 2. The reciprocal of a number can be written as a power with the index of -1. So if the value is this, 5 raised to the power -1, okay, and you have the question, you have to find the reciprocal. Now that's a very important concept. If the power is negative, first most important thing you have to do is to make the power. So if the power is negative, if the power is negative, the first thing you have to do is to make the power positive. How we can make the power positive? Listen to me carefully. If the power is negative, you have to change the number into denominator. If the power is negative in numerator, the number 5 raised to the power -1 is in numerator. So I will move this to the denominator. So it will become positive power. But for example, the power is like this, 1 upon 5 raised to the power -1. So I will move this to the numerator. So it will become positive. So remember this thing. You just need to change the number numerator into denominator and denominator into numerator. So what will affect? It will change the sign of power. Now, what the question? 5 raised to the -1 means the reciprocal is 5. How we get the reciprocal 5? So first I will convert this into the positive. So it will become 1 upon 5 raised to the power 1. Now I have to find the reciprocal. So I will reciprocate this value. So it will become 5 raised to the power 1 and divided by 1. So I already told you that you don't need to write the 1 in a denominator. So answer will be 5 raised to the power 1, and 5 raised to the power 1 is equal to 5. We already know that in the power. So I hope everything is still clear for all of you. If you have any question related to power, root, or reciprocal, you can ask me. Inshallah, next video we will move toward the indices, and inshallah we will carry out this topic, and we will do some past paper question as well. Allah Hafiz.